Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, this is a place where I discuss topics like astrology, metaphysics, and spiritual growth. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel and smash the thumbs up button. Everybody on their spiritual journey has their own unique path, and people are drawn to a wide variety of disciplines that help people become aware of the truth of who they are and why they're here. I've shared a bit about my journey so far, along with tools and resources that have kept me inspired. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of my experiences with Kundalini Yoga and share my 10 favorite things that I've learned throughout my practice. Let's dive right in. My first favorite thing that I learned throughout my experience with Kundalini Yoga is that there's actually quite a wide variety of different types of yoga. All types of yoga have the same goal in mind, which is raising the dormant Kundalini energy at the bottom of the spine, up throughout the spine and into the higher chakras. Specifically, Kundalini Yoga uses a variety of different methods to achieve that goal, such as mantra, drishti, which is eye focus, mudras, which are hand postures, as well as asana, which is physical postures. Some of the other different types of yoga only use a couple of those tools, such as primarily asana, which is focusing on the physical bodily postures, or primarily chanting, for example. Kundalini Yoga is a specific type of yoga brought over to the West by a man named Yogi Bhajan in the early 1960s. This type of yoga infuses Sikhism with ancient yogic wisdom, and it's said to be one of the fastest ways to raise the Kundalini energy. All of these different types of yoga involve the same goal, but involve different aspects of our minds and different ways of achieving that goal. The first is Raj Yoga, which is the royal path. It's the mystical aspect of the mind, and it is a scientific step-by-step approach of training and disciplining the mind. The second is Karma Yoga, which is the active aspect of the mind. This is the path of yoga that is selfless service. Anytime you are doing a selfless act of service, you're doing Karma Yoga. The third is Jnana Yoga, which is the intellectual aspect of the mind. This type of yoga involves reasoning and lots of study. The fourth type of yoga is Bhakti Yoga. It is the emotional aspect of the mind, and yoga between oneself and the divine is achieved through lots of chanting, lots of singing, and heart-based activities of devotional service. As I'm sure many people do, I believe that yoga was primarily just a physical exercise that helped develop endurance and flexibility and strength. But during my experience with Kundalini Yoga, I was quick to realize that that is just not the case. As multidimensional beings, we are affected on most, if not all, levels by partaking in disciplines such as yoga and meditation. Yes, yoga does affect us physically. It lubricates our joints, stretches out our muscles, provides us strength, but it does work in a lot more subtle ways and affects our energetic systems, the way that energy flows within us, as well as our mental states and our minds. In the second spot of my 10 favorite things that I've learned through Kundalini Yoga is the effects of meditation, which I've found are both diverse and very powerful. My first experience with meditation was with Vipassana meditation back when I was 19 years old, around 2011. I learned then that the mind, like the body, can be trained to be more disciplined, and that training the mind can lead to equanimity and overall contentment with life. My experience with Kundalini Yoga has taught me that these practices impact us on almost every single level. Meditation has been shown to make lasting changes in the brain. There are several different parts of the brain that make up what is known as the default mode network, and this network in the brain is responsible for self-related thinking and mind wandering. This network is active when thinking about events of the past or events about the future. In people who have mental health issues such as schizophrenia, this default mode network is either overactive or is not being controlled by other parts of the brain properly. Meditation can actually allow us to hold our energy in the present, rather than having our energy leaking into the future that hasn't happened yet or into the past when we're ruminating about past events. We can actually see this in studies that show a decreased activity and connectivity in the default mode networks of people who are experienced meditators versus non-experienced meditators. My third favorite thing that I learned throughout my experience with Kundalini Yoga was the importance of breath. Breath is one of the main ways we acquire life force, energy, chi, prana, whatever you wish to call it. And the way that we breathe literally affects our nervous systems. I believe that breath is one of the main things that we can focus on to maintain health and vitality in our lives. If you would like to see a real life account of how powerful breath really is, you can check out this video by Skylife about a man who allegedly hasn't eaten for 4 years and simply sustains himself from breath alone. A person who sustains himself on breath alone is known as a breatharian, and I find that topic absolutely fascinating. There are some really neat things that I learned about breath specifically, like how breathing through the right nostril has an energizing effect, and how breathing exclusively through the left nostril has a relaxing effect, or about how when you are inhaling, your blood pressure is rising and you're affecting the sympathetic nervous system. When you're exhaling, your blood pressure is being lowered and it's having an effect on the parasympathetic nervous system. There are also the different inhale-exhale ratios that have different effects. For example, 4 parts in and 1 part out is energizing. 4 parts in and 4 parts out is balancing. Breathing exercises are called pranayam because they literally help us with our intake of prana, or life force energy. Another thing that I learned about breath is breathing affects the cerebrospinal fluid. I learned this while reading the book Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza, which I have to say is one of the most informative reads I have ever had in relation to metaphysical and spiritual knowledge. Highly recommend. The breath, accompanied by different bandhas, which are locks that are achieved by squeezing certain areas like the cranium, actually help move the cerebrospinal fluid up and down the spinal column. This creates a charge in the electromagnetic field, which allows the energy that's dormant in the lower chakras to move upwards. Also, the cranial bones of the head contract and expand in rhythm with the breath, which creates a kind of hydraulic dynamic that allows the cerebrospinal fluid to move up and down. There are many different types of breathing and pranayam in Kundalini Yoga, and I'll describe a few of them for you right now. The first one is long, deep breathing. Most people only breathe shallowly in their chest. And when you look at a baby who is breathing diaphragmatically, their belly is rising up and down while they're sleeping. And that's how we should be breathing to get the most oxygen, the most prana. The inhale first starts by expanding the belly, and the rib cage expands and the clavicle bones expand. The exhale, the clavicle bones go down, the rib cage contracts, and the belly contracts. Sitali pranayam, which is done by breathing through a curled tongue like so, is said to have a cooling effect and aids in digestion. Breath of fire, which has to be one of my favorite pranayams, is said to cleanse the blood in 3 minutes. It's expanding the lung capacity and increasing the lung's physical endurance. It's releasing stored energy in the solar plexus chakra, allowing for more motivation, and it's releasing toxins that are deeply rooted in the lungs and mucous membranes. Lion's breath, which is done with an outstretched tongue, is also good for detoxification and stress elimination, and is said to work on the upper chakras, the throat chakra and the thyroid. Alternate nostril breathing, also known as Nadi Sodan, is a way of clearing out the energy pathways of the body. Next on the list is the chakras and the nervous system. One of the most amazing things that I learned through Kundalini Yoga was the fact that everything seems to all be interconnected, as seen through the ancient Indian concept of the chakras, as well as how they relate to the nervous system and the endocrine system. These chakras, these energy centers on our body, happen to coincide with the densest points of our nervous system. The chakras are also in direct relationship with the endocrine glands that produce hormones in our bodies. The chakras and the endocrine system work together with the nervous system to repattern the chemistry of the brain. Through certain exercises like Kundalini Yoga, we can actually work to strengthen our nervous system. I like to think of the nervous system as a system that conducts electricity and is only capable of handling a certain amount of energy. It's a system that has a limited capacity. So this relates to how big of an amplitude of certain emotions emotions that our systems can handle. If our system isn't primed to handle high intensity joy or high intensity stress, our nervous systems will actually start to shut down or backfire. The strength of our nervous system determines how much energy we can have flowing through our system at any given time. For example, you see when people can't handle the energy coming into their system, like celebrities for instance, and their nervous system literally becomes fried. You see all sorts of dysfunctional behavior and mental illnesses. Another cool thing about the nervous system is that by holding a posture for an extended period of time, you're actually strengthening the nervous system as well. When you start to see shaking in your body, that's literally a sign that your nervous system is being strengthened. An amazing practice that has super beneficial effects on the nervous system is cold water therapy, or Ishnan. I've had the pleasure of going through a couple different 90-day challenges where I took a cold shower every day. I noticed some very interesting things, like how at the beginning of the practice, it felt extremely cold and extremely uncomfortable. But over the period of weeks, I started to adapt to it, and at certain points, the cold water on my body almost felt warm. And when I exited the shower, it seemed like all of my blood flowed from my inner organs and out into my extremities, and I felt super warm after the shower. The benefits of cold water therapy include improved circulation, flushing of the organs, and it actually tells the endocrine glands to secrete beneficial hormones. A big teaching in Kundalini Yoga is about the Ida, Pingala, and Shushmana nadis, which are energy channels of the body. These nadis have endings in the hands and the feet, and that's why it is a common practice after a yoga set or relaxation to rub the hands and the feet together vigorously, stimulating the nadis. The nadis also end in each nostril, and that's why alternate nostril breathing has its cleansing effects, because it's in relation to each of the nadis. The left nostril is associated with the Ida nadi and is connected to the parasympathetic nervous system. The right nostril is associated with the Pingala nadi and it affects the sympathetic nervous system. The chakras connect us with heaven and with earth. They connect us to the different dimensions. It seems like everywhere I turn, everything is interconnected, and the relation between the chakras and the nervous system and the endocrine system is absolutely no exception. To me, these things give me hope, because it shows that there are a variety of different ways that we can tackle diseases and how we can create healing without necessarily having to resort to our external environment. Number 5 on my list of my most favorite things that I've learned through Kundalini Yoga is the teaching of the 10 bodies. According to Kundalini Yoga, we don't have just one body, but we have 10. The concept of having several bodies is a recurring theme among several different spiritual disciplines. In the different teachings and in different lineages, different numbers of bodies are presumed. So in Kundalini Yoga, we have 10 bodies. We have a soul body, 3 mental bodies, and 6 energetic bodies. The first body is the soul body. It is the part of us that is connected to the eternal. It is the part of us that connects and experiences the flow of spirit. And this body is strong when we're living from our heart rather than our head. Mastering of this body is said to lead to great humility and creativity. The second body is the negative mind, the first of the mental bodies. It reminds me of the planet Saturn, because the negative body is all about containment and about seeing in the environment where a threat is possible. This body is looking for threats in the outer environment and creates boundaries by saying no. The third body is the positive mind, and this body reminds me of Jupiter, because this is the expansive, positive, happy body. This body sees the positive in every situation. When this body is strong, one is playful, always positive, and a good communicator, and it accepts opportunities by saying yes. The fourth body, which is the third mental body, is the neutral mind. This body evaluates input from the positive and negative minds and makes a judgment. This body is an intuitive vantage point and allows access to the soul. If this body is weak, we have a hard time making decisions, and we feel victimized because we can't integrate the experiences of our lives and find meaning in them. The fifth body is our physical body, our temple, our vessel, literally our physical body. The sixth body is the first of the energetic bodies and is known as our arc line. The arc line is the densest point of our auric field and is known as the halo. It's so amazing to me how many beautiful depictions of the halo we can see in early art. All of these figures are portrayed with these beautiful halos around their heads. This particular body is associated with our pituitary gland, which is our master gland, which affects the the nervous system, and endocrine system. This is the body that is the balance point between the material and the physical planes, and is therefore the body that allows us to manifest our desires. If this body is weak, we have inconsistencies in mood, which leads to inconsistencies in behavior, which makes it more difficult for us to manifest the things that we want. The seventh body is our aura. It's literally our electromagnetic field around our bodies that's said to extend 9 feet around our bodies. This is the field that is created by joining the fields of all of our chakras together. It's said to be the container of our life force, which can build up to provide self-confidence. It even affects other people around you. That's why you can sometimes sense people's moods without them saying anything. And it's said that all illness actually starts in the auric field. So if one is able to heal the aura, that will actually prevent illness from manifesting physically. The aura is literally our shield and our protection. And it's said that wearing natural fibers helps maintain a strong aura. Natural fibers like cotton, silk, or linen are the best conductors of energy. Plastic-based fibers like polyester don't interact with our energy systems in the same way. There's also an effect of wearing different colors on your aura. In Kundalini Yoga, it's recommended that you wear white due to its expansive nature and expansive qualities on your aura. White reflects all of the colors in the visible light spectrum. So all of the energies from outside people and your surrounding environment are literally reflected off of you. Conversely, if you're wearing all black, for example, black absorbs all of the colors. So when you're wearing all black, you're more likely to be absorbing the energies of the people and the circumstances around you. The first time I ever had an experience myself of perceiving an aura was when I was doing a meditation in Kundalini Yoga, where we had the eye gaze on the thumb, and after a while I was able to see a faint white outline around my thumb that kept disappearing and coming back. After that experience, I was finally aware of what the aura looked like to me, and I have been playing with different techniques of being able to see the aura, like looking at myself in the mirror in a dimly lit room, or even looking at the auras of trees, which is really cool. The eighth body is known as the pranic body. It's related to the will center and gives us energy to perform in the world. It's strengthened by long, deep breathing. If this body is weak, you'll tend to feel low energy, and you'll perhaps try to gain that energy back through food or stimulants. The ninth body is our subtle body. It is said that upon death, the soul leaves with the subtle body, and that there's a direct relationship between the soul body and the subtle body. When this body is strong, one is able to see beyond just the surface level of things and see the deeper meaning and the interconnected nature of all things. When this body is weak, people can tend to be gullible and awkward. This body is said to record all of our actions, deeds, and words, which makes me think if it's connected to the Akashic records at all. The 10th body is known as our radiant bodies. When this body is strong, a person has a sense of charisma and charm. Well-balanced radiant bodies lead to personalities that are charismatic and magnetic. And the strength of the radiant body comes through commitment. The 11th body is said to be the embodiment. It's a place where we see beyond duality and we are at one with true reality. Another very interesting thing that I learned throughout my experience with Kundalini Yoga was about Tantric numerology. Just like astrology, it uses the birth time of the individual to assess the weaknesses or challenges and the strengths that that person has in this particular incarnation. The different numbers 1 through 10, along with the master numbers 11, 22, and 33, each correspond with one of the 10 bodies as taught in Kundalini Yoga. For example, number 1 correlates with the soul body, number 2 correlates with the negative mind, number 3 the positive mind, and number 4 the neutral mind. So depending on the date of our birth, some bodies are working more favorably, while others could be more prone to imbalance and need more conscious effort to strengthen. As in other types of numerology, certain calculations using the birth date are used to arrive at certain numbers, and these numbers give more insight into the individual's strengths and weaknesses. The numbers that we arrive at through these calculations constellations are the soul number. This number is our creative energy and can also be our weak link that prevents us from finding our truth. The karma number shows us what things in our lives we have to overcome in order to experience harmony. The gift number is a spiritual body that works well for you in this lifetime. The destiny number represents a theme that you've carried over several lifetimes and could be a talent and how people see you. The last number that is arrived at through Tantric numerology is the path number. This number shows you the things that need to be accomplished in this lifetime in order to fulfill one's soul. My next favorite thing is learning about the science of sound and mantra. I believe the words that we use literally change our reality. I'm sure that many of you have heard of the concept of words literally being spells, and that's why the creation of them is called spelling. We are literally in the process of creation, whether we know it or not, every time we speak or even every time we think. In Kundalini Yoga, mantra is particularly important, and there are mantras for pretty much every single goal that you could ever imagine. This is a science based on the fact that sound is a structured form of energy that has predictable effects on our energy systems and all of our 10 bodies. Since everything in this universe is vibration, differing only in frequency, we have the opportunity to choose what frequency we're operating at. Chanting certain mantras puts us in line with certain vibratory frequencies, and this aids us in manifesting our desires. Mantras can be used for anything, like increasing prosperity, intuition, personal power. It doesn't even matter if one understands the words of the mantra for it to have effect. I would have to say that the coolest thing that I've learned through Kundalini Yoga in regards to mantra and sound is the idea that we have 84 meridian points on the roof of our mouth. Through reciting mantra, the tongue hits these 84 meridian points, not unlike fingers on a keyboard. And this stimulates parts of our brain like the hypothalamus that in turn have effects on our endocrine systems, metabolism, and immune systems. Eighth on my list of my most favorite things that I learned through Kundalini Yoga is the discussion all about hair. We see the importance of hair by looking around the world at various cultures like Buddhism, Sikhism, and indigenous cultures around the globe. Kundalini Yoga has its connections with Sikhism, and this is the first I heard about the spiritual significance of hair. Many people believe that keeping your hair uncut is a sign of gratitude to God, and that the hair can actually develop antenna-like qualities, picking up prana and life force, as well as nutrients from the sun such as vitamin D. It's said that keeping the hair uncut for a minimum of 3 years, the hair develops antenna-like qualities and is able to pick up information, which could enhance intuitive faculties. Coiling the hair on the top of the head actually draws pranic energy down into the spine. This is practiced by many cultures around the world, with some people referring to it as the Rishi knot. I decided that when I first embarked on my journey in Kundalini Yoga that I would not cut my hair and see what would happen. I didn't cut my hair for over 5 years, and I ended up becoming quite attached to my hair. Over the period of those 5 years, I grew along with my hair in ways that were previously unfathomable to me. However, at certain points, I realized that I had an unhealthy attachment to my hair. I often had dreams of my hair being cut, and I often wondered if all the progress that I had made during the period where I didn't cut my hair was just thrown out of the window. I noticed that I had fear surrounding cutting my hair. So after 5 years, I decided to get dead ends trimmed off. I don't believe in giving our power away to anything external. If we believe that we're only capable of intuition or spiritual insight with the help of external tools like tarot or crystal, then we've given our power away. We give our power away to things in the external environment when the power is really within us. I still have great respect for my hair. I now see it much more than just dead biological material sprouting out of my head, but I'm choosing to have a more easygoing approach to my hair. I don't necessarily think that the length of our hair determines our spiritual strengths, and people with all different lengths of hair are capable of discovering spiritual truths. Learning about mudras, yoga of the hands, definitely makes it onto my list of my favorite things I learned through Kundalini Yoga. It was so awesome to learn about the connection between the brain and the hands through my studies in Kundalini Yoga. Back when I was getting into meditation 10 or so years ago, I saw people making these gestures with their hands, and I often wondered in the back of my mind, what was the purpose of this? Over time, I learned that there's an obvious connection between the brain and the hands, and that people perform these mudras or hand gestures because of the effects that they have on the brain. These are hand postures, and unlike in yoga where we use the entire body, mudras are postures just using your hand, making them hand yoga. Each mudra is said to guide the energy of one system in a specific way. Just like how the meridians on the roof of the mouth act as a keyboard with its keys being pressed, the hands are also a keyboard for input into the mind, energy, body system. Each finger is related to a specific planetary body, as can be seen in the practice of palmistry. The thumb is related to Mars. The index finger is Jupiter, with the most common mudra, I think, that one sees in Kundalini Yoga is the Gyan mudra, which is the index and the thumb finger joined together. This mudra is said to enhance wisdom and knowledge. The middle finger is associated with Saturn, the ring finger with the Sun, and the pinky is associated with Mercury. This has to be one of my favorite mudras, known as Buddhi mudra, joining the thumb and the pinky finger. This mudra is said to enhance mental clarity and even enhance psychic development. Equally fascinating is the idea that we're joining our hemispheres of our brain together when we join our palms together in this mudra called prayer mudra. The effects of this still occur when we're just joining the fingertips together. You often see people doing this when they're trying to concentrate or focus. These kind of things make me even more curious about the magic that's right within our hands. The 10th and final favorite thing that I've learned through my Kundalini Yoga practice is about our transition into the Aquarian Age. I love anything related to astrology, and this is probably one of my favorite teachings because I see it as relating to the bigger picture of things. Originating in Indian scripture is the idea of these very long cycles known as the Great Year. These cycles are around 25,000 years long and relate to the slow rotation between zodiac constellation signs. According to many different spiritual traditions, along with Kundalini Yoga, we're currently in a transition phase. We're currently moving from the Piscean Age, the time that Jesus Christ lived, hence why the symbol of the fish is sometimes used to refer to him, into the Aquarian Age. There's said to be certain changes that occur along with this transition. Firstly, in the Piscean Age, knowledge was only shared to a select few. But in the Aquarian Age, we have access to all of the knowledge that we could ever want right at our fingertips. We have access to mystery teachings that only before belonged to a specific class. Even the technology of Kundalini Yoga was meant for only a select few, up until recently. The Piscean Age is said to focus more on the material, and the Aquarian Age is said to focus more on the spiritual. A focus now is on things that can't be seen, like ideas and knowledge. The Piscean Age had more of a hierarchical structure, where things are flattening and leveling out in the Aquarian Age. The Piscean Age is said to be more of a slower pace, whereas the Aquarian Age is said to be more faster paced. One of the most important distinctions I see between the Piscean and the Aquarian Ages is that now more and more people are choosing an independent path of initiation, as opposed to following an organized religion. Back in the Piscean era, people chose to follow people who were said to be enlightened, people who were said to have all the answers, like Buddha or Jesus. But now, as the Aquarian Age dawns, more and more people are choosing to turn within to seek the answers. As many of you are aware, a great light has left this realm. Earlier this month, on Sunday, August 1st, Guru Jagat passed away unexpectedly from a pulmonary embolism that was related to an ankle surgery. She was one of the people that have been mentioned in every single YouTube video I have uploaded thus far. This is because she was such an inspiring figure on my journey. I don't know if I never saw her book, Invincible Living, in the chapters that day in 2017, would I have ever embarked on this journey of Kundalini Yoga. She touched so many people's lives, and she was such a great source of motivation for me to improve. She was a reminder that the sky was the limit in regards to our creations. I dedicate this video to Guru Jagat, and I send a heartfelt message to all that knew her or was impacted by her in some way. I thank God from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to find her message. Sending lots of love your way. Sat Nam.